Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to ask, are reparations due for the Dungeons and Dragons community from the American sports community? That's the question, so we're going to answer it. All right, here we go. The answer is yes, and I'll explain why. Okay, so first of all, let's define our terms, okay? So who owes money to who? And then we'll talk about how much money, all right? So first of all, the reason why we're talking about this is Stranger Things. I'm currently reading the book, The Dustin Experiment, all right? And takes place between season 3 and season 4, the end of season 3 and the beginning of season 4 of Stranger Things. And Dustin is building a relationship with Eddie Munson, the heavy metal dungeon master, and Lucas is abandoning his nerd friends, and I hate that term, but I'm going to use the language because it gets us there quickly. I apologize. There's just no way around it. So Dustin is abandoning his good, kind, loyal nerd friends to pursue absolutely abominable human beings within the jock community. And the reason why is he doesn't want to get struck physically, he doesn't want to be mocked, and he doesn't want to be excluded from being able to date the opposite gender. Because, I think that's his character. Lucas's character is pursuing opposite gender partners, and he wants to be able to have a chance to do that, right? And to keep his girlfriend Sadie, right? Like, because he realizes, she's not really in on all this nerd stuff, right? And so he wants to be strong and be relevant and be important and not be mocked and lumped in with all his nerd friends as a victim, right? And so it's a very good, the book is fantastic, but it really brought me forward. And I was like, yeah, that really is an accurate portrayal of what's been happening for every single year of the 50 years of Dungeons and Dragons. And the reality is the American sports community, specifically football, basketball, and baseball, have been abominable to nerd culture, all right? Now, what is nerd culture? First and foremost, Dungeons and Dragons. We are the most persecuted group in all of nerd culture. And by the way, this is going to extend to anybody who has ever played these things in high school or college, okay? If you started any of these things after college, after high school or college, you're not included, okay? So if you played D&D in high school or college at any age up till this right now in 2025, or if you were in band in high school or college, or a band like a marching band, not a rock and roll band, a marching band, okay? Or the drama club in high school or college, then you are nerd culture. You are one of us, okay? And you are on the persecuted side of this conversation, right? Not the persecutors. Now, if you played in high school or in college, okay, if you played football, baseball, or basketball, you are the problem. You are the persecutor. And it's almost a certainty at some point, it is a certainty, okay, that you did one of the following. You knocked some kid's books out of his hand, you called them names, you used your hierarchy to persecute someone in nerd culture, or you stood by and did nothing, or you stood by and smiled, or you stood by and laughed while one of your jock friends did. Period. All right. Now I'm also going to say this is not gendered in any way. I think jock men and women did all of this, and nerd men, jock men and women did all the persecution, and then basically jock and then nerd men and women received all the persecution, period. Okay. All right. So since we've now established that at the macro level, at the 51% level, American jocks persecuted American nerds, okay, is there reparations now due American nerds? Anyone who can show that they were persecuted, actually anybody who can show that they simply played D&D in high school or in college. They don't need to show any signs of persecution, right? Or that they were in band, or that they were in drama in high school or college. That's more. And if they were in any of those groups, they were absolutely persecuted. Period. At any of the years previously. The only question is what level, right? And the levels were from significant to major, right? Like there's no two ways about it. Okay. All right. So one, those are the groups. Is reparations due? Yes, 100%. Okay. How would those reparations be paid? Right? Who would pay them? All of the primary professional leagues in America for those three sports: football, basketball, and baseball. Okay. The player groups, the owner groups, everyone affiliated with the top three professional leagues in each of those three sports would owe reparations to anyone who could prove, right, that they had played Dungeons and Dragons, were in band, were and in drama, and did not participate in any of those sports in high school or in college. So if you did both, if you High School Musical did, if you were Zac Efron in High School Musical, you're out. You don't get anything. There's no reparations for you, right? Because you had one foot in both worlds, right? You got to sing all the songs like Zac Efron, but you don't get cut in on the reparations. So how much should be paid? How much should be paid to these groups? $10,000, period. End of sentence. One-time payment, all is forgiven, right? And so then the U.S. government would be in charge of making sure the payment is paid out, right? And basically, we would work with those leagues, right? We would work with with the professional leagues assigned to each of those three American sports, and make sure that it didn't break the bank for them. And that means, but everybody would be paid within 5 years, okay? But it would be split up into 20% per year, and those people would be paid out at $10,000 per year. And they very well may need to get financing for this, right? And you're like, oh man, that's gonna be really expensive. Yeah, it's gonna be outrageously expensive, but it's not a problem because sports are making crazy bank right now, and they're gonna continue to make way more bank going forward. And the reason why is, if you're not aware, professional sports were doing great before, but now with professional with gambling connected to every single one of the, officially to every single one of those sports, there's no limit on how much they can earn. So they can certainly get the funds from international lenders to be able to pay this out over 5 years. So should Dungeons and Dragons nerds be paid by American sports jocks? Yes. $10,000, every single person who was reparations should absolutely be paid. $10,000 to every single person who was in Dungeons and Dragons, band, and drama. Wait, Scott, are you doing this so you'll get 10 grand? No, I will exempt myself. And the reason why is conflict of interest. The whole idea is mine. I think it's a very good idea, and I want to release myself from the, I don't want any. I just want this to happen and justice be done. I don't want, I don't need that money, right? Like the idea that other people really, and I do deserve it, right? But I don't want that to muddy the pool, right? Like this isn't me trying to get 10 grand. Yeah, I do fully qualify, but I would exempt myself because I'm the originator of the program. And I think, if you're kind of trying to if you're leading a charge, right, you should be all in, right? And so this would not be for my personal gain. This would be for the people who genuinely deserve this, who didn't come up with the idea, right? And can be selfless in this, right? That's the point. I'm not able to be selfless, right? So I should be exempted because I would not be able to be selfless in receiving this. So that's it. I think the answer is yes. I think every single American jocks owe American nerds, and this is how it should get paid out, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. You get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.